Well, if everybody's ready, it's 6:31, and I believe we can call the meeting to order. First order of business, if everyone will join me and stand to pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
for all.
liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Will Secretary take the roll call, please?
Chairperson May,
Here.
Commissioner Price, Commissioner Mason.
Here.
Oh, let me
Richard
unmute him.
got his mic turned off. Can you turn your mic on, Richard? I believe it's still off.
Yep, he's still down. Richard, at the bottom left of your screen, where it's got you on mute, can you select unmute?
How's that?
Yep, we can hear you now.
You got
Present.
it.
All right. Commissioner
Okay.
King,
Pardon me?
Commissioner King.
Here.
All right. Commissioner Richard,
Present.
Commissioner Hickman,
Present.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Okay, next item would be approval of the agenda. If I can have a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, motions made and supported. Any questions or comments? Would you take the roll, please?
Commissioner King,
Aye.
Commissioner Richard,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Hickman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Chairperson May.
Aye. Before we go any farther, Commissioner King and Richard, we don't have your video. I mean, can you turn that on?
I just put something in the chat and to see if anybody opposes it. Are there any parties that oppose me doing voice only on this? Knowing that I am present.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't.
Okay,
Fine with me.
we'll continue then. Next item is public comment on non-agenda items only. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on an item not on the agenda? Hearing none. We can continue to approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of February 26, 2020.
I'd move it to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, the motion is made and seconded. Any questions
Who
or
was the second
comments?
on that?
I didn't catch it. Who supported that motion?
Smith.
Okay.
Okay, is there any questions or comments on the minutes? Corrections? Okay, hearing none, would you take the roll, please, Brian?
Okay. Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Hickman,
Aye.
Commissioner Richard,
Aye.
Commissioner King.
Aye.
Looks like Commissioner Price is here.
Yes,
Welcome to the party.
I hope it stays on because I am totally lost.
Was that a yay for the minutes?
Yeah, it's a yes for the minutes.
Okay, and Chairperson May.
Aye.
If I may interject for just a minute, Mr. Price or Commissioner Price, if it's easier, you may get better reception if you do the call-in. I know I've had issues in the past with Zoom. It may work easier if you use a call-in if you're having connect.
I can see, I believe I can see everybody now and I can hear you. It's saying the host asked for you to start your video. Should I start my video?
Yep, so down at the bottom left there, hit start video. There you are.
There you go.
Ah,
We got you.
thank you very much.
Okay. Moving on, business items. 5800 North Sonoy Road. This is consideration of a request for 2 variances regarding the height of the structure and the front yard setbacks for the building located in the M1 Industrial Zoning District. To start out, we're going to be having a public hearing, and this is for 2 variances. The first is the height of the structure, which says buildings in the M1 Industrial Zoning District shall have a maximum height of 40 feet. The building addition is proposed to be 54 feet. A 14-foot height variance is requested. The second variance is front yard setback. Buildings in M1 Industrial Zoning District shall have a setback of a minimum of 30 feet from any street which the lot has frontage. Building addition is proposed to be set back 10 feet from Park Lane, and a 20-foot variance is requested. Okay, next, can we have our consultant's report?
Yes, would you guys like me to share the screen of my review? Would that help out?
If you what? I didn't
Share
catch that.
screen. I could share the screen so you guys could see the report as I'm presenting on it, or I could just go ahead and read it off without doing that, whatever you prefer.
I think we all have a copy of your report.
Okay, good. All right. The site is currently home to Intex. The applicant is proposing to construct a new vertical paint line to facilitate Intex's aluminum extrusion and fabricating business, as the existing building is not tall enough. The existing site is approximately 49,658 square feet in area and is zoned light industrial M1. As proposed, the construction of the new vertical paint line would require 2 variances from the dimensional standards of the zoning ordinance. Variance A from Appendix A, Scheduled Regulations, Height of Structures. Buildings in the M1 Light Industrial Zoning District shall have a maximum height of 40 feet. The building addition is proposed to be 54 feet high. A 14-foot height variance is requested. Variance B from Appendix A, Scheduled Regulations, Front Yard Setback. Buildings in the M1 Light Industrial Zoning District shall be set back a minimum of 30 feet from any street which the lot has frontage. The building addition is proposed to be set back 11 feet from Park Lane Street lot line. A 19-foot variance is requested. Variance standards for approvals. All variances must meet the standards specified in section 154.453 of the zoning ordinance. Each of the required standards is described below, followed by an analysis of whether those conditions exist in this particular case. Practical difficulty. The height restrictions of the zoning ordinance unreasonably prevent the use of the property for permitted use. The applicant is proposing to add a final step in production that is typical for the completion of the fabrication extrusion process. The equipment used to efficiently paint products necessitates raising items vertically, requiring a final building height of 54 feet. The additional roof height is only needed for the painting process and is only being requested in the footprint of the plat where the activity will take place. Not granting the variance would unnecessarily burden Intex. The applicant has proposed a design with the least expansive variance possible for the project. Therefore, the height restrictions of the zoning ordinance create a practical difficulty for the ability of Intex to conduct a permitted use and necessitates the requested variance A. The applicant is proposing a 6,348 square feet building replacement in the northeast corner of the site. This addition is proposed to extend into the front yard setback along Park Lane Street 10 feet past where the existing building is located. The existing building is currently deficient of the required 30-foot setback. As the proposed installation of the new paint line is most feasible in this location and the existing building is non-conforming with the front yard setback, it would be unnecessarily burdensome to require the owner to remove the existing legal nonconformity and comply with the current 30-foot standard as they have been operating as capacity. Therefore, the required front yard setbacks of the zoning ordinance create a practical difficulty for the ability of Intex to gain compliance and necessitates the requested variance B. Substantial justice. Granting of the variances requested would give substantial relief to the owner of the property involved and be more consistent with justice to other property owners. As the permitted use would not be possible without granting of the variance, we find that granting the requested variance would do substantial justice to the applicant, similar to other property owners in the district who have similar uses. Public safety and welfare. Permitting the requested variances would not negatively impact the public safety and welfare of the public. Extraordinary circumstance. There are extraordinary circumstances applicable to the intended use that do not generally apply to other similar uses in the same zoning district. The machine necessitating the variance is the minimum size available to accomplish the proposed painting process. Therefore, the conditions resulting in a variance request are not self-created. Preservation of property rights. A variance is necessarily for the preservation of and enjoyment of substantial property rights possessed by other owners in the same zoning district. No safety hazard. The proposed dimensional variances will not pose a safety hazard. The proposed vertical paint line will not increase the hazard of fire and will not otherwise endanger public safety. No impact on land values. We are not aware of any evidence that granting a variance will unreasonably diminish or impair the value of the surrounding properties. Neighborhood character. The granting of the requested variance would not substantially alter the character of the neighborhood. The subject site is surrounded by industrial uses and the building addition will not alter the character of the neighborhood. Light and air. The requested variance will not impair the adequate supply of light and air. Promotes orderly development. Granting of the requested variances would be in harmony with the surrounding built environment. As most of the surrounding area is similar industrial uses and the future land use map designates all of the areas adjacent to the subject site as industrial, the proposed variance request promotes orderly development in the zoning district in which it is located. Traffic flow. The proposed addition is not anticipated to affect traffic patterns. Granting the variance shall make vehicular and pedestrian traffic no more hazardous than is normal for the district in which it is located. No nuisance impacts. We are not aware of any nuisance impacts relative to dust, noise, fumes, vibrations, smoke, or lights that will result from the requested variances. Impact on adjacent properties. Granting of the variance will not interfere with or discourage the appropriate development, continued use, or value of adjacent land or buildings. The adjacent buildings are mostly industrial in nature and therefore the impact on adjacent properties will be minimal. Relationship to adjacent land uses. As described above, the granting of the variances for the development of the site will not significantly impact the adjacent land uses. Recommendation. The Zoning Board of Appeals shall only grant a variance from the strict requirements of the zoning ordinance upon finding the criterion described above have been met for each individual variance requested. In making your determinations relative to the requested variances, the ZBA must specify what findings have or have not been met. We find the proposed development requested by the applicant satisfy the requirements of the criterion above and therefore recommend the ZBA grant the variances as requested based on the following findings of fact. 1. The height restrictions of the zoning ordinance create a practical difficulty for the ability of Intex to conduct a permitted use and necessitates the requested variance A. 2. The required front yard setbacks of the zoning ordinance create a practical difficulty for the ability of Intex to gain compliance and necessitates the requested variance B. 3. not providing the variances would be unnecessarily burdensome. 4, granting the variance promotes orderly development. And 5, the need for the variance is not self-created.
Okay.
And there's our report.
Well, at this point, we can look for the presentation of the applicant. Is the applicant available to do that?
I'm promoting, they're coming in as panelists here.
Okay. I believe their mics are turned off.
Not anymore.
Okay, good. You gentlemen are representing Intech?
Yes. I'm Scott Wright. I'm the architect, and
Nicholas Necker, I'm the owner and president.
Okay. Well, I don't know who wants to go first, but if you'd like to make any comments about your application, now's the time.
Yes, I'll speak. Hunter did a great job explaining our situation and difficulties with the building. The owner is looking at putting in a finishing powder coating spray line. It's a vertical line, so the long pieces of aluminum, 30 feet long, have to be hooked and raised vertically and get into a booth where they can be painted through a conveyor system. And so we needed a minimum clearance of 42 feet at the lowest point of our building in order to be able to facilitate that paint line. And this corner of the building was the most logical location in terms of the internal layout of the building, although it necessitated we have to remove portions of the existing building in order to build a new building tall enough to accommodate the line. And since the existing building was only a foot off the property line, we are duplicating that. That will be a 3-hour firewall that will protect not only this building, but the adjoining properties from the fact that we're right on the property line with the building. And that wall has to extend up past the highest point of the roof, hence why we're 54 feet high. The construction of the building is going to be basically the same as the rest of the existing building. Metal siding, it'll be a metal roof, it'll be open, metal framing inside the building for, you know, for a wide open clear space.
Just, you know, to add on to that, the need for the paint line increases because we've grown as a company. We have a lot of faith that we're going to continue to grow as a company. We wanted to keep it at the Garden City facility because it seems to make sense for the flow. It's called the SAT vertical cube system. It's going to be the first one in the United States, and it is a very exciting piece of machinery, which should allow us to increase our extrusion operations, increase our painted metal operations, increase our employment, and I think be a really good addition to the whole neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Is that it? Okay. At this point, we'd like to open the public hearing to public comments. At this time, the public can make comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. This is not a time for questions and answers, but just making a personal comment concerning the application. So do we have anyone that wishes to make a comment?
So this is everybody. So we got nobody else in the audience.
Nobody else wants to comment. Okay. Well, in that case, we can close the public hearing. And unless you have some written comments.
Nope, I have no, our office didn't receive any written comments.
Okay, then then I'll close the public hearing at approximately 6:50. At this point, we'll open the meeting to members' discussion. Is there anyone who wishes to make a comment or have a question concerning the applications? We can talk about them both together, I think, but when it comes time to act on the variance, I think we should do that separately. Any questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Richards. Your mic is turned off.
Okay, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, my apologies. Looking at the print, I'm assuming that this building is going to extend. It's currently at 22 feet, and it looks from the print like it's going to encroach even further, closer to the street. So the setback would be affected even more. Am I correct in my assumption on that? That it will extend further towards the street, so that would be towards the north of the existing building?
Yes, that is. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, and I would also like to add in with the, you know, it's we want to help as much as possible, but the difficulties incurred from Intex from moving their operation inside.
We're having a little trouble with your audio. Now I think you're froze up.
I appreciate the firewall and moving.
Okay, well, I know one of Commissioner Richards' questions concerned the setback. Does that setback impact the sidewalk area at all? I'm asking Misters, right?
It does. The sidewalk does not appear to be labeled on their plan. But if I'm looking at the Google Maps imagery right now, it appears the sidewalk's over 10 feet from the building, which would mean that it wouldn't be protruding into the sidewalk. I don't know if the applicant has any further addressment on that.
Yes, the addition will be 11 feet plus or minus off of the property line. And then you're another foot to the sidewalk, wide sidewalk. Then there's a green belt curb and Park Lane Avenue. So the public sidewalk is unaffected. And in fact, that north side of the property is completely fenced in. And it is also about 36 inches higher than the sidewalk. So there's a retaining wall along the sidewalk and then a fence on top of that. And that's how it exists today. But the sidewalk will not be impacted in any way.
But the addition won't have that, will be beyond that retaining wall, isn't that correct?
No, it will be within the retaining wall.
Oh, okay. So that won't impact the sidewalk.
Correct.
Okay. Commissioner Richard, do you have any other? Your mic is turned off again.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I was breaking up right as he began to speak about justifying not using the existing facility and why they were extending out on that.
Oh,
and also the building adjacent if it's owned by Intex.
It is owned by Intex. Oh wait, which way? The one across the street?
The east?
No, the building that you would be butting up to, which would be to the to the east. I'm sorry, yes, to the east.
No, that is not owned by us.
Okay.
Was that, it's not owned by you?
That it is not owned by us, correct.
So you have nowhere to go?
I mean, I would like to keep it here as opposed to the new facility in Livonia. I would definitely like to keep it in Garden City.
Right. The other question though is why are we not moving south into the existing building? Why are we extending outwards towards the street?
The reason why is that south line is where is a line of the existing building. There's a structure there, columns, beams, roof line, and by trying to demo that out, that negatively impacts two existing extrusion lines. So that point became the southern point at which we had to go to the north. We couldn't go any further south. And we needed the extra 10 feet in order to make this line fit.
Okay. So basically, you're saying that that would have an undue negative effect on you if you had to try to move south, would be prohibitively expensive.
Prohibitively expensive, and we would have to shut down the extrusion facilities in that plant.
Okay. Did you have any other questions, Commissioner Richard?
Negative, I'm all set. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
This is Morgan. Do I have to click in or raise my hand or something?
Yeah, if you raise your hand, you're good. Okay, Morgan.
Yeah, I went by the property and over on what is it, Park Avenue.
Park Lane?
That's the side it's going to be on, right? The corner.
Park Lane, yes.
Yes.
Okay, and I thought behind that building, if I'm not mistaken, going east, I thought that was an empty field. That's not a building? How much is that going to approach into that empty area there?
None.
So it's
The space between the buildings will remain unaffected.
because I'm
And currently, if I understand, your building sets on your lot line, is that correct? At the
It's about
edge
a
of your
foot off
property?
of it, but for all intents and purposes, it's on the lot line.
Yeah, okay.
So
Go ahead.
I'm just trying to clarify my own self. On Park Street, that is to the north, and Benoit is to the west, and so you're going on the east side, northeast corner, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
All right, so you're gonna extend it out towards Park Street, which is gonna be within the fence line, which is not gonna involve the sidewalk, because I rode my bike on it and was perfectly fine there. And then going to the east side, it's an empty field. There's no building exactly next to the plant, east. So you're not next to a building, if I'm mistaken, unless I heard it wrong. Someone was saying it's gonna be, into that building, but there's nothing there. But it's not gonna go extend into that blank area, is it?
No, it's got to stay within the property line.
Okay, so then it's not gonna do anything but go to the north on the expansion and go up.
Correct.
Nothing's gonna go east.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm good. That's all I got to know.
Is there any other question or comments? Okay, Commissioner King.
Yes, I don't have a problem with what's happening here. I went over and looked it over as well. I feel confident with that. My only concern is that if we do allow the variances, the two variances, that they are without prejudice for any future variances, because I don't want people in that area to come back and say, well, you let these guys do it, so we are automatically grandfathered in. And that's,
Well, that's not the case, because each of our actions are taken on their own merit. We don't set precedents in that way.
yes.
So if
And I
another-
understand- yeah, I understand that, Fred. I just want to make it clear that nobody is going to come back and try to hijack the variances because we allowed it here. Everyone is their own individual case with their own individual facts, and we rule accordingly.
That's correct. Anyone else have a comment or a question? Okay, I just have one thing to say, and that is, you know, when we write these ordinances, we do our best to write them with the existing technology and manufacturing processes that are in hand at that time. Not being able to predict what new technology or processes are available in the future that may affect some of our decisions. And that's really the purpose of the ZBA, is to make allowances in those cases where changes in technology and processes would create a big problem for the business people in trying to meet our regulations. And basically it would would definitely create a practical difficulty for the businesses at hand. So I would be in favor of allowing the variances myself. Do we have any other comments or questions? If
I
not,
think that I would concur with your assessment that there certainly is a practical difficulty here. And the fact that the machinery that they are going to be purchasing and installing seem to be very unique. And I think it would be harmful to the owner of the property not to be able to maximize this technology and hopefully is competitive edge in this business. So I would be generally in favor of granting them the variance as well.
yeah, I think that requiring them to try to fit the new process in would be very burdensome on the owners. Commissioner Richard. Commissioner Richard.
I would like to, so let me make sure I'm unmuted. Okay, I would love the board to recall when citizens come about. I can recall approximately 24 to 28 months ago, there was a resident that wanted to have a tree removed or not removed, and due to the cost, we turned it down because it would cost them money. That was the only thing that was brought up, the cost. I support going up in height. It's fine. Going closer, moving further north into the sidewalk, it's cost the company and Intex money to move and to change beams and whatever. I don't know interior structure. And being an iron worker for a living for over a decade, I'm well aware of the cost. However, we can put cost over. Is there another way around it? Because the next person wants 10, 15 feet closer to a main road. Say because of company, we're going to put sight and vision into jeopardy. I think there's ways around it. I support the height. I oppose go further out. Do that because it's a fiscal matter. Not that's the only area that machinery or equipment would. It's 100% financial benefit. Thank you.
You're breaking up a lot, Commissioner Richard. Could you maybe call in with your comments?
Yeah.
So,
am I coming through more clear?
yes.
Okay, I'll start from the beginning. And for those that may have heard the whole thing, I apologize for having listened to it again. Roughly 2 years ago, we had a resident come in about a tree. The only reason the board voted against it was because it was a financial burden on that resident. Everything made sense. It would have made the area nicer, and the board voted against it due to financial. It would have cost him a ton of money. I am 100% for the height variance on this because I think that would be cool. A, it's a business here in Garden City. B, first one in the world. That's pretty spectacular. But moving further to the north, closer to the sidewalk, that has nothing to do with there's no other way around it. That's 100% financial gain for Entex, and there are ways around it. So I would have to oppose that. I think innovation is great. I support your comments about technology. However, this is 100% about saving money and not practicality.
Okay, well, the applicant did say that moving it further to the south would impact the other production lines in a negative way. So I think it was not only about money, but about practicality as well.
If I may, that's not our duty to worry about production. Our duty is to uphold zoning. What they do within their confines of their building is their business. Am I correct in that or no?
Well, we do worry about zoning. We worry about trying to provide a good business atmosphere along with it. Financial interest is not the only item that we're looking at. Yes, Mr. Noacker.
Okay, what I think might have gotten lost in the translation is if it's not just financial benefit for us to go farther inland and do it farther set back, we would have to actually take out the extrusion press that's producing 40 to 50% of the extrusions that are painted. So without doing it like this, it's either moving it towards a setback or moving it to a different location, you know, to a different city.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments? Yes.
Yeah, Fred. I understand what Commissioner Richard is saying. I have a little bit different take on that. Yes, it is moving it 10 feet farther north. If there was not a fence there around the property so that it would become that 10 feet that it's moving to the north would then become closer to traffic, sidewalk, and so on and so forth. But since it is still within the confines of the existing fence, I don't really have a problem with that. Understanding that from a manufacturing process, sometimes you just can't change everything around. I understand that this is the smallest size building that you could build and still incorporate the change in technology. Is that correct? So that's my take on what's going on here.
Yes. Mr. Hickman, did you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, question. Well, he basically said, I was going to say basically what I said, that he's staying within, you're staying within the existing retaining wall that's there right now?
That's correct.
Okay. That's, yeah, I don't have a problem with either one of those variances.
If there's no other questions or comments, I believe we're ready for a motion. Like I said, we should take these, the height variance and the front yard setback separately. If you do make a motion to allow it, we have to state the reasons. And I believe we can use the recommendations from the consultant to cover that. So if someone would like to make a motion,
I'd like to make a motion to approve Appendix A, Schedule of Regulations, height of structure.
okay.
And
Is there a support?
Or
yes, there is buildings in the M1 light industrial zoning district shall have maximum height of 40 feet. Building addition is proposed to be 54 feet high. A 14-foot height variance is requested. I'm basing this on, there is absolutely no way to get around what they want to do. It is not a burden. It is a piece of equipment that they need. And going up is the sky. There's nothing there and there's nothing to block them. It doesn't cause any issues to sight, to air, to noise, or anything else in the adjoining area.
Was there a support on that?
I support it.
Commissioner King supported it. Any comments or questions? Secretary, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Richard,
Aye.
Commissioner King,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Hickman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Commissioner Price,
Aye.
Chairperson May.
Aye. Okay. Variance A is passed. Is there a motion for variance B, front yard setback?
I make a motion that we approved variance B, Appendix A, Schedule of Regulations, front yard setback, as detailed in the as detailed in the consultant's report.
Second. Second.
Commissioner Price supported.
Support, yes.
Any comments or questions? Secretary, take the roll, please.
Commissioner King,
Aye.
Commissioner Price,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Hickman,
Aye.
Commissioner Richard,
Nay.
Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Chairperson May.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Both of the variances have been approved. I thank you, gentlemen, for coming in, and you can contact the building department, I guess, in the near future for your permits.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, other business.
Apparently there's this Corona thing going around.
Yeah, heard about that.
Isn't that a beer, Corona?
Hey,
Drinking it so extra.
you never see a man doing anything fast when he has a Corona in his hand.
Good
They're
guy.
the best commercials of the time.
So they say.
I love it.
Muriel,
Sir.
I was wondering if, well, first I should ask Mr. Penn and Mr. Smith if you've received the procedures and rules for the zoning board of appeals
Yes.
printed version.
Yes.
You have? Okay. How about the
This one,
zoning ordinance?
planning zone, the essentials book, I did not get.
Planning and zoning essentials. That, okay, that's more of a training.
Yeah.
I got that one, but I did not get the zoning ordinance.
Where can we get a copy of the training booklet?
That I can see if Matt, our city clerk, has, I think he put those together for, with that initial training we did. I think we might still have another copy in our office that we can get you a copy of.
Much
Also,
appreciated. Thank you, Brian.
Also, did we get the maps?
Map would be helpful too, yes.
Did we get our maps?
So, yeah, we can get you a copy of the zoning map.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that the last meeting. We didn't get them or anything.
Brian,
Yes.
this is Dick. Oops, start the video. Okay. Could you send us a copy of everybody's cell phone numbers and email address?
Yeah, we need an updated list of that.
If you want, mine is area code 911-422.
Thanks, Tony. I've got that one.
Hey, I'm here for you. I'm a helper. I'm a helper.
As far as the ordinance goes, you might check with them to see if they would prefer it on that little drive that you gave everybody before, if they want a printed copy.
Yeah, we can do whatever you would prefer. Would you prefer a hard copy, or we can do it on a flash drive?
I would like a printed copy.
Printed copy?
Yeah, printed copy, and I'll put it in my devices.
Okay.
Yeah, Flash or PDF would work for me, and I can just print it off.
All righty.
Computer illiterate, the easier the better. Paper is better. Or Morgan.
Okay. If you have any comments or questions or anything you want to bring up concerning zoning?
Nope. I'm just happy to see everyone again.
Yes, nice. Richard,
Yes.
anything?
No, I'm good.
I just wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I'm coming in or when I'm supposed to come in or not. And maybe you guys can help me on this computer on my end. Do I just speak in, or is there a button I'm supposed to hit? Like,
Well, you don't have to hit any button. If you just want to raise your hand, I can recognize you. And that way we're not talking over the top of each other.
okay, so the parade wave is good.
Yep.
Yes.
And Fred, I would suggest that if you're not actively participating, go down in the left-hand corner and mute yourself out. And then when you have something that you want to add, click it on to get back into it and then raise your hand, because
Well, I don't even see that.
yeah, comments start going back and forth. So
Yeah, well, you just have to remember to unmute it.
oh yeah.
Well, thank you, Hunter. Appreciate your work tonight.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very
And
much.
in case you guys are wondering when the next meeting might be, we do know it won't be in November. We have not had any cases come before us. We won't be meeting in November.
Or October.
Or October for that matter too, yes. Sorry. I was
Okay.
getting a little ahead of myself already, but yeah, actually both months. October, the deadline is already passed for submittal, and then November, you know, like I said, I haven't spoken to anybody, plus with the election and the ability of the city to handle all the meetings, we're just making sure that we're not over taxed. So we're gonna make sure that the election has our full attention.
Good deal. Let's get 2020 over with as soon as possible.
That too.
Yeah. Okay, well, if we have nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn, and I wish everybody a great night. Stay corona free, the way to be. Thanks for joining us.